Good evening.
Good evening.
Happy Black History Month.
Thank you. Happy Black.
This is a brief presentation of my family's history. I was always interested in my family's history and would ask my mom and great-aunt questions about my ancestors all the time. And when I retired in 2008, I began a genealogy search for my family. Fortunately, I had taken notes of my conversations with my mom, who was often called the family griot because of her excellent memory. My great-aunt Geraldine, who was my grandma's baby sister, and my cousin Topsy, who was my mom's cousin and a barmaid in her younger days with a lot of knowledge and some secrets too. Actually, my interviews proved to be the best source of information, followed by Ancestry.com, another genealogy site, and a publication from my cousin in Alabama called Shaking My Tree. She had interviewed one of my cousins in New Jersey several years prior for the book, and my cousin told me to contact her. I decided to do the search of my maternal side as I had more information and had been asked to be on the committee to prepare for a family reunion in 2011. And following is a brief summary of their history. The Caucasian Hodges are strongly believed to be the slaveholders of the Hodge and Grace ancestors. Their first known record begins in 1770 in Pitt County, North Carolina. They later moved to Georgia and then bought a farm in Alabama. There really weren't adequate records kept of slaves in that era, just male or female, age and the name of the plantation owner. Many slaves had no last names before the Civil War, and they took the last name of their owner afterwards. There were also birth records kept in the family Bible, but the dates were not in chronological order, and much of the information may have come from an even older Bible of family records that many times could no longer be located. The Grace, Callan, and Hodge plantations were all within walking distance in the area of Henry County, Alabama. And there was intermixing of children by the slave masters and other slaves. And even though it was illegal for slaves to travel from one plantation to the other, many slaves were rented, hired out, and are leased to other plantations. When the freedom of slaves in 1865, being a slave did not stop in Henry County. Many of the slaves owned no property and could not read or write and did not own a horse for transportation. Because of this, many chose to remain on the plantation that they had been on all their lives and worked as sharecroppers. Many signed agreements, as did our ancestors, William Grace and Major Jackson Grace. They had to work farmlands and in return receive half of the crops income at harvest if the farm owner was fair to them. If the farm owner was kind enough, he would buy them clothing and pay their medical bills. They had nowhere to turn. Staying on the plantation and familiar grounds meant security, food and shelter for their families. Many of our ancestors remained in Alabama. Some relocated to Florida and other states, and some traveled to New Jersey in the mid-1940s. At this time, humbly, I would like to list the accomplishments of some of the Hodge, Grace, and McGriff descendants. My cousin, Monty Irvin, Baseball Hall of Fame, and has a park named after him in Orange, New Jersey, formerly Orange Park. My aunt, Dora Campbell, first African-American counselor to work in Orange High School. Cousin Charles Williams, first African-American to head the General Motors Union in his hometown of Texas. Cousin Thomas Jones, who was the second African-American police officer hired by Amtrak, formerly Penn RR. Cousin Victor Morris, soloist with the North Jersey Philharmonic Glee Club, with a legacy performance at the White House. Cousin Robert Pittman, who has an Essex County park named after him and a street named after him on Chancellor Avenue in Newark, New Jersey, in front of Solid Rock Baptist Church. Cousin Faye Howell, who wrote the book Shaking My Tree and is currently in the process of producing a docudrama about our family called Timberton Road. She has been able to acquire and raise funds, and she recently shared the trailer with me. And Cousin Kenny Williams, who last year won first place in the Essex County NBA bodybuilding competition. I am just thankful and grateful considering the humble beginnings we came from. It has been a knowledgeable, joyful, and heartfelt adventure to do the genealogy search for my family. I will never forget my ancestors. They endured a great deal of struggles, pain, suffering, and segregation throughout the years. Wars, KKK, lynching of their kin, burning of their homes, and the Jim Crow laws in many southern states. They fought for us, including the right to vote, attend accredited schools, etc., and made numerous sacrifices. And in November of 2008, President Barack Obama, an African American, was elected the 44th president of the United States of America. Our ancestors paved the way for us in so many ways. Hopefully, the future generations will continue to pay homage to these ancestors and do their best with purpose and with pride. The McGriff genealogy search is still a work in progress, but following is some information I do have, including my great-grandfather being one of the founders of an affluent African-American church in Essex County, New Jersey. My great-grandfather, who we called Alec with a C, relocated to Florida in his early 20s, where he met and married Jessie Daniels, whose ancestors we heard were part of a Seminole Indian tribe. I'm still doing research on that. My great-grandfather and Jessie had 6 children, including my grandfather, Alexander McGriff Jr. My great-grandfather and his family later moved to New Jersey, and in 1917, along with his brother John, his cousin Malachi Jones, and a friend Henry Craddock, assembled together and organized Bethel Baptist Church. My grandfather Alexander Jr. later became a charter member, a deacon, and a minister. And recently, on Sunday, October 8th, 2017, Bethel Baptist Church celebrated their 100th anniversary. And Pastor Alexander House, my son, grandson of Reverend Alexander McGriff Jr., and great-grandson of Deacon Alexander McGriff, Sr., founder and organizer, gave the invocation at the event. Thank you for listening. If you are interested in reviewing it, I have a copy of my family reunion package, which includes a family tree with names and relatives of 6 of my great-great-grandparents, William and Nellie Grace's children. The other 3 were listed in the census reports, but I cannot find any further information on them. Also included is the history and a Hodge Grace detailed family tree. FYI, I also have started a Facebook page for the Hodge Grace descendants for milestones and other valuable information. Thank you.